The metallic hall of the Galactic Council stretched like 3 consecutive stadiums, its vastness swallowing sound and casting shadows across the alien delegates seated around the circular conference table. 200 light-years from Earth. This imposing structure had stood for millennia as the center of intergalactic governance, diplomacy, and increasingly control. Ambassador Jackson Jake Mitchell adjusted his classic blue suit, feeling the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. The air smelled of burning plastic and wilting flowers, an unpleasant combination that had become the signature scent of council meetings over the past decade. Cold artificial light bathed the chamber in an unflattering glow, highlighting the tension etched on every face, human and alien alike. Chancellor Vexmore, resembling a giant praying mantis with iridescent exoskeleton plates and compound eyes that seemed to observe everything at once, tapped his ceremonial staff against the floor. The sound reverberated through the chamber, immediately silencing all whispers. The Galactic Council's session on human infractions begins now, Vexmore announced, his mandibles clicking with each syllable. Before us is the 10-year list of charges against Earth's Federation. Delegate Crickstall of the Centauri species, 8 feet tall with a peculiar hybrid of exoskeleton and insectoid features, rose to read the accusations. His voice, translated through the chamber's system, carried an unmistakable tone of superiority. Human settlements have repeatedly violated zoning regulations in sectors Gamma 7 through Omega 12, Crickstall began, his multiple appendages gesturing dramatically. Earth has withheld technological advancements in violation of Treaty Section 459. The Federation has imposed unfair taxation on Centauri mining operations. And perhaps most egregiously, humans forcibly expelled the Geld extraction team from Saturn's moons without council approval. Jake sat motionless, his expression revealing nothing as Colonel Lisa Rodriguez and Dr. Emma Foster flanked him, equally stoic. Rodriguez, commander of Earth's federal fleet, kept her gaze fixed on a distant point above Vexmore's head, while Foster, head of the Andromeda Research Institute, took meticulous notes on an antique paper pad, a deliberate choice that often irritated the technologically dependent council members. The council proposes the following sanctions. Vexmore continued, rising to his full 12-foot height. Direct oversight of all human colonies, complete technological transparency, with immediate sharing of all advancements, triple taxation on Earth exports, and installation of a council overseer in your governmental structure. The chamber fell silent. Even the usual rustling of appendages and breathing apparatus ceased as all eyes turned to the human delegation. Jake Mitchell remained motionless, his silence stretching uncomfortably long. Around the table, alien delegates began to murmur and click in discomfort. When Jake finally stood, the movement seemed to draw all air from the room. The Earth Federation has listened to these proceedings with great interest. He began, his voice steady. We have been members of this council for 73 Earth years. During that time, we have contributed technology, resources, and military support to countless worlds. Jake paused, scanning the room. Vexmore's compound eyes reflected the light in fractured patterns. Crickstall's appendages twitched nervously. However, we have come to recognize an unfortunate truth. Jake continued. This arrangement no longer serves humanity's interests. The restrictions, the taxation, the constant oversight, these have become chains rather than supports. A wave of clicking and hissing erupted around the table. Vexmore slammed his staff 3 times, restoring order. Therefore, Jake's voice rose slightly. Earth hereby announces its complete withdrawal from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. The chamber erupted in chaos. Crickstall leaped to his feet, his exoskeleton flushing purple with agitation. You cannot simply withdraw. No species has ever... We are terminating all treaties. Jake continued calmly over the growing din. Ending all trade agreements. Dissolving all military alliances. Earth and its colonies will operate independently henceforth. Vexmore's staff crashed against the floor repeatedly, struggling to regain control. Ambassador Mitchell, this is unprecedented and unacceptable. The Council does not recognize... The Council's recognition is no longer required, Jake replied, gathering his single sheet of paper an intentionally archaic touch in a galaxy of digital communications. Colonel Rodriguez will now brief you on our withdrawal plan. Lisa Rodriguez stepped forward, her military bearing commanding immediate attention despite her smaller human stature. Operation Exodus begins today, she announced. Within 30 Earth days, all 300,000 human citizens will be evacuated from approximately 200 colonies throughout Council space. We request non-interference with this process. Delegate Crickstall's voice rose in pitch. This is absurd. Many of your settlements are integrated with our worlds. The Zenturi administration will not permit. Permission is not being requested, Rodriguez interrupted. The federal fleet has already deployed. This is a courtesy briefing, not a negotiation. Dr. Emma Foster rose next. Her academic demeanor a stark contrast to Rodriguez's military precision. Additionally, all human medical facilities currently operating in Council space will be transitioned to local control with minimal disruption. Training materials have been prepared. The Council chamber dissolved into chaos again. Representatives from dozens of species shouted questions and objections simultaneously, creating a cacophony that the translation systems couldn't process. Jake Mitchell simply nodded to his colleagues, and the human delegation turned toward the exit. This session is not concluded, Vexmore shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. Ambassador Mitchell, if you leave this chamber, Earth will face consequences beyond anything outlined today. Jake paused at the threshold, turning back to face the assembly. We understand the consequences, Chancellor. Humanity accepts them freely. With that, the human delegation exited, leaving the Council in disarray. Operation Exodus proceeded with military precision. Within days, massive Earth carriers appeared above dozens of worlds simultaneously, their sleek hulls bristling with defensive systems that had never before been revealed to the Council. The extraction of human citizens and equipment began immediately, operating on a timetable that left local authorities scrambling to respond. The Zenturi administration on Proxima Colony attempted to blockade the spaceports with their ceremonial fleet. Colonel Rodriguez herself arrived in the flagship Artemis, a vessel twice the size of anything the Zenturi had previously observed from Earth's military. This is Colonel Lisa Rodriguez of the Earth Federal Fleet. Her transmission echoed across all Zenturi frequencies. We have no desire for conflict, and however, we will extract our citizens with or without your cooperation. Please choose wisely. The Zenturi vessels, faced with weapon systems they couldn't recognize, quietly withdrew. Similar scenes played out across Council space. Earth's fleet, suddenly revealed to be far larger and more advanced than previously disclosed, methodically extracted human populations from world after world. Most local authorities, recognizing the futility of resistance, offered minimal opposition. By the 20th day, troubling reports began filtering back to the Council chamber. Worlds with significant human medical presence were experiencing healthcare collapses as Earth physicians departed. Agricultural systems on several planets faltered without human engineering expertise. Trade routes that had relied on Earth vessels suddenly found themselves without transportation. An emergency council session was convened. Chancellor Vexmore, his exoskeleton now a dull shade of stress gray, addressed a chamber only half filled with representatives. The human withdrawal is causing more disruption than anticipated, he admitted reluctantly. Many outer systems are reporting critical shortages of medical supplies, technical expertise, and basic resources. Delegate Crickstall, once haughty, now spoke with visible agitation. The Zenturi homeworld has lost 60% of its medical specialists. 3 treatment facilities for Cascade syndrome have shut down completely. We need to negotiate with Earth. You negotiate? Vexmore's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. They violated every protocol of council membership. Nevertheless, another delegate interjected, my world cannot survive without the terraforming expertise the humans provided. Already our atmospheric processors are failing. As the council debated, a transmission arrived from Earth. Dr. Emma Foster's face appeared on the central display, composed and professional. Greetings, council members, she began. I'm transmitting to address concerns about the transition. While Earth has withdrawn from political affiliation, we have no desire to see suffering result from our departure. The chamber fell silent, all attention focused on the human scientist. Therefore, Earth is dispatching humanitarian vessels to all affected worlds. These ships will provide emergency medical care, technical assistance, and essential supplies without charge. They will operate outside council jurisdiction but with full respect for local authorities. Chancellor Vexmore's compound eyes shifted rapidly. You're offering charity? We're offering assistance, Foster corrected gently. No different than what we provided as council members, except now without political conditions or taxation. The transmission ended, leaving the council in uncomfortable silence. We ask them for help now, Crickstall whispered, his appendages trembling slightly. Outside the chamber, reports confirmed Foster's words. Massive white vessels bearing Earth's blue and green insignia were appearing at worlds most affected by the human withdrawal. These ships, clearly converted from military designs but now serving humanitarian purposes, brought medical teams, engineers, and supplies. Most surprisingly to council observers, these missions operated with remarkable efficiency despite having no council coordination. Earth, it seemed, had developed its own communication and logistics networks entirely separate from council systems. Meanwhile, at a secure location in Earth space, Jake Mitchell met with the highest levels of the Federation government. President Eliza Chen had authorized the final phase of humanity's independence strategy. The council is reeling, Jake reported, when their entire system was more dependent on our contributions than even we realized. And Operation Exodus, President Chen asked. 97% complete, Colonel Rodriguez responded. The remaining human citizens are specialists who volunteered to stay temporarily to prevent humanitarian crises. They'll be extracted once the transition teams are established. Then it's time for the revelation? President Chen nodded to Dr. Emma Foster. Foster activated a secure display showing a massive installation orbiting Jupiter. Project Genesis is ready. The technologies we've kept from council oversight for the past 30 years are prepared for deployment. The display showed a series of breakthrough innovations, faster-than-light drive systems far beyond council standards, tissue regeneration technology capable of extending human lifespans exponentially, and terraforming systems that could transform hostile worlds in months rather than centuries. Begin implementation, President Chen ordered, and prepare the announcement. 2 days later, the council received another transmission from Earth. This time, Jake Mitchell addressed them directly. Chancellor, delegates, he began formally. Earth wishes to clarify our position following separation. We harbor no ill will toward the Council or its member worlds. The camera pulled back to reveal Jake standing in a facility unlike anything the Council had ever seen. a vast laboratory filled with technologies that made even the most advanced council world seem primitive by comparison. For 3 decades, Earth has conducted research outside council oversight, Jake continued. Not out of malice, but because council restrictions were hampering innovation that could benefit all sentient life. Behind him, Dr. Emma Foster activated a series of displays showing the technologies being implemented throughout Earth space. Our new propulsion systems reduce interstellar travel time by 80%. Jake explained. Our medical advancements can eliminate diseases the Council has struggled with for centuries. Our terraforming capabilities can transform dead worlds into habitable ones within a single generation. Chancellor Vexmore's response was immediate. These technologies violate every sharing protocol in Council law. You were legally bound to... We were bound by treaties that no longer apply. Jake interrupted gently. Now, we're free to use these advancements for humanity's benefit and to share them with individual worlds based on mutual respect rather than Council mandate. The implications were clear. Earth was offering direct partnerships that would bypass Council authority entirely. This is your last opportunity, Vexmore warned, his voice quivering with barely controlled rage. Return to Council oversight immediately, or face permanent isolation from galactic society. Jake's expression remained calm. Humanity chooses freedom. Chancellor, we will not return. Before Vexmore could respond, Jake terminated the transmission. In the council chamber, the silence that followed felt like a physical weight pressing down on the assembled delegates. Vexmore slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor repeatedly, the sound echoing through the chamber like thunder. Delegates shouted and gesticulated, some in anger, others in panic. The atmosphere seemed ready to explode with tension. Amidst the chaos, a silver door at the far end of the chamber, the same door through which the human delegation had departed, slid silently open. The symbolism was lost on no one. Humanity had closed the door on galactic politics, and that decision seemed irrevocable. The click of the door's latch resonated throughout the chamber, a simple sound that somehow carried more finality than all of Vexmore's staff pounding. The immediate aftermath of Earth's withdrawal sent shockwaves throughout Council space. Populations across dozens of worlds found themselves divided between those who supported resistance against Council authority and those who feared the consequences of challenging the established order. On several outer colonies, local governments collapsed entirely as citizens demanded the same freedoms humans had claimed. Ancient trade routes that had functioned for millennia suddenly found themselves disrupted. The Galactic Exchange, the Council's financial market, lost 30% of its value in a single rotation as investors panicked over humanity's departure and the technological revelations that followed. Chancellor Vexmore convened emergency sessions daily, but concrete solutions remained elusive. The Council had built its power on regulation and control tools that proved ineffective against a species that simply opted out of the system entirely. 3 months after Exodus, Earth launched Operation Humanitarian Light. Hundreds of vessels, now clearly marked with medical and aid insignia, departed Earth space bound for worlds experiencing the greatest hardships following the human withdrawal. These ships carried food, medicine, and critical technology, all offered freely to any world that would accept direct assistance from Earth. Many Council members, despite official prohibitions, found themselves quietly welcoming these missions as their populations demanded the superior care Earth provided. They're systematically undermining our authority. Vexmore raged during a private meeting with senior delegates. Every medical miracle, every engineering solution, it all comes with the implied message that the Council failed where humans succeeded. Delegate Crickstall, once Vexmore's strongest ally, had grown noticeably subdued. Perhaps, he suggested hesitantly, we should consider reforms to our approach. The humans demonstrated that innovation flourishes without our oversight. A heresy, Vexmore hissed. The Council's protocols have maintained galactic stability for 50,000 years. And yet, Crickstall continued, gaining courage. A species that joined us barely 70 years ago has now surpassed our most advanced worlds. Perhaps stability isn't everything. Meanwhile, Earth's federal fleet established a new headquarters at Alpha Centauri, converting an uninhabitable planet into a lush paradise through their advanced terraforming. What would have taken centuries under Council protocols was accomplished in months, a demonstration of capability that wasn't lost on observing worlds. Within 12 months of withdrawal, humanity had successfully terraformed 2 additional planets, established a massive research hub at New Geneva, and deployed their advanced medical technology throughout their territory. Human lifespans, already extended through earlier advancements, now stretched toward 5 centuries with perfect health, a development that sent shockwaves through Council species who had always prided themselves on longevity. Dr. Emma Foster appeared in a broadcast that somehow penetrated even the Council's communication firewalls. Her message was simple but devastating. Earth has developed cures for red fever, bone degeneration, and medullary tumors, she announced, naming 3 of the most devastating diseases in Council space. We offer these treatments to all sentient beings who need them, regardless of political affiliation. The broadcast included transmission coordinates for worlds seeking assistance coordinates that pointedly bypassed Council communication networks. We will negotiate directly with individual worlds. Foster concluded on no intermediaries, no political conditions, just mutual respect between equals. The Council chamber, once the center of galactic governance, grew quieter with each passing month. Attendance at sessions declined as more worlds engaged directly with Earth. Vexmore's authority, once absolute, now extended primarily to ceremonial matters as substantive decisions increasingly happened outside Council purview. 5 years after humanity's departure, President Maria Santos addressed the Earth Federal Congress in a session broadcast throughout human space and beyond. Fellow citizens of the Federation, she began, standing before a hall filled with representatives from hundreds of human colonies. Today marks the 5th anniversary of our independence from Council oversight. It is appropriate to reflect on what we have achieved in this brief time. The chamber, unlike the cold metal of the Council, was constructed of warm woods and living plants, a conscious reflection of human values. We have established 3,000 colonies across 200 star systems. Santos continued. Our citizens now enjoy lifespans of 5 centuries with perfect health. Poverty, once thought inevitable, has been eliminated through our replication technologies. Disease, the ancient enemy of all sentient life, has been conquered through our medical advancements. The assembled representatives applauded, a sound that carried a warmth entirely absent from Council proceedings. But more important than these material achievements are the values that made them possible. Santos emphasized freedom to explore, to create, to innovate without artificial constraints. Cooperation based on mutual respect rather than hierarchical control. Creativity unleashed through the removal of bureaucratic barriers. The president's voice grew stronger. Some believed our withdrawal from the Council would lead to isolation and decline. Instead, we have forged new partnerships based on equality and shared progress. 37 formerly Council worlds have now signed direct treaties with Earth. Hundreds more have accepted humanitarian missions. As Santos spoke, the camera pulled back to reveal a chamber filled not only with humans but with representatives from dozens of non-Council species beings who had chosen alliance with Earth over continued Council membership. Our path forward remains clear. Santos concluded. We will continue to advance, to explore, and to share our discoveries with all who wish to join us as equals in the great adventure of existence. The standing ovation lasted for minutes, a spontaneous expression of approval that contrasted sharply with the ritualized acknowledgments of council proceedings. Meanwhile, in what remained of the council chamber, a very different scene unfolded. Chancellor Vexmore, his exoskeleton now permanently faded to a dull gray, presided over a session attended by representatives from just 7 species, a dramatic decline from the hundreds that once filled the hall. The once magnificent chamber showed visible signs of neglect. Lighting systems flickered irregularly. The massive translator array, once the pride of council technology, produced increasingly erratic results as maintenance fell behind. We must consider additional sanctions against human-aligned worlds, Vexmore insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. Their defiance threatens the very foundation of galactic order. Delegate Crickstall, the last of the Zenturi to maintain council membership, shifted uncomfortably. Chancellor, with respect, we lack the means to enforce such sanctions. The combined fleets of our remaining members are outmatched by Earth's humanitarian vessels alone, let alone their military assets. Before Vexmore could respond, a communication arrived on the emergency channel of frequency reserved for existential threats to Council authority. The message originated from the Helix Syndicate, a collection of advanced worlds in the far spiral that had maintained neutrality throughout Council history. Attention Council leadership, the message began. The Syndicate wishes to inform you that we have established direct contact with human representatives. After observing their technological and social advancements, we have accepted their invitation to participate in the Multidimensional Physics Initiative at New Geneva. The message concluded with diplomatic pleasantries, but its meaning was unmistakable. The last major power block outside Council influence had chosen alignment with Earth. Silence fell over the chamber. Vexmore's staff, once wielded with authority, now rested limply in his appendage. Crickstall and the other remaining delegates avoided eye contact, each lost in private contemplation of a future they had never imagined possible. Outside the chamber's viewport, the stars continued their eternal dance, indifferent to the political realignments of sentient species. And among those stars, the gleaming vessels of Earth's federal fleet passed occasionally, their drives burning with energy unknown to Council science, their trajectories mapping the expansion of human influence. From a distance, the galaxy itself seemed to be changing. Where Council governance had imposed a rigid, controlled pattern on interstellar affairs for millennia, new connections now formed organically between worlds. Trade routes, cultural exchanges, and scientific collaborations proliferated without central oversight, and at the heart of this transformation was the simple choice made 5 years earlier in the Council chamber. The moment when humanity decided to walk away, closing a silver door behind them with a quiet click that continued to echo throughout civilized space. As Earth ships passed the fading Council station, their lights glowed with a vibrant blue that seemed to cast hope across the stars themselves, illuminating a new era of galactic history that few had imagined possible, but which now stretched before them with limitless potential.